Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about our April reading wrap-up.
Yes, all the stats.
All the stats for you notebook lovers.
Nerd cool.
Nerd cool.
Again.
Yep.
That should be our new motto. Maybe I'll get it stenciled on the wall or something.
We should get shirts or something saying
Nerd cool.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're here with our April reads.
April reads.
And all the good stuff.
Yeah. So, I read only 4 books in April. I had Girl of Nightmares by Kendari Blake, What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, Hashtag Girl Boss by Sophia Stats, and Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert. 4. I ended the month with 2 4-stars, which was Girl Boss and Girl of Nightmares. I had 1 5-star, which is What Moves the Dead, which actually, this is an updated rating.
I was going to say, I didn't think it was 5 when we did our video about it.
When we did our video, it was only a 4, but the more that I sat with and thought about it, I realized just how much I love this book. And I put it on my favorite bookshelf. So, It's a 5-star read for sure. And then Our Crooked Hearts came in with a 3-star. It's a pretty new book, and again, we talked about that one along with What Moves the Dead in our last video. So you can go check those out. My average rating for April was 4 stars. Pretty good month, honestly.
No, yeah, very good.
I'm not upset about that at all.
No. Okay, well, I read 6 books. I read Almost the Dead and Our Crooked Hearts, of course. And I was doing this challenge for myself where I was experimenting and trying out reading other cozy fantasy books. Mainly because if you go back and hear me talk about Legends and Altos, I don't know if it was last month or the month before, but my little thoughts about that got me curious about other stuff. So because of that, I also read The House in the Cerulean Sea and The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And then, of course, for book club, this month was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. And I rounded out my month with Justice of Kings by Richard Flynn. So I had 4 5-stars.
Wow.
I know, out of 6. Very good.
Wow. Yeah.
Justice of Kings was 5. Eleanor Oliphant was 5. House in the Cerulean Sea was 5. And of course, What Moves the Dead was 5. I had 1 4-star book, which was The Secret Society, and 1 3-star, which was Our Crooked Hearts. So my average was 4.5 stars for the month. So a very excellent reading. Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So, for the month of April, my total page count came out to be 1,120 pages with the 4 books, for an average page of 280, which I like. Those are decent-sized books. The shortest book I read was What Moves the Dead, and the longest book was Our Crooked Hearts.
Spent the most time with.
Spent the most time with, and the one I like the least. But, you know.
Yeah, there it goes.
It's how it is.
It is. Yeah. It is. My page count, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read my handwriting. My page count was 1,946 pages for an average of 324.3. And the longest one was Justice of Kings at 413, and the shortest one also was What Moves the Dead at like 158 pages. So, and I adored both of them, so I was fine with that.
This really doesn't matter.
Anyway, moving on.
Authors for this month. So, out of the 4 books, 3 of them were new to me, ones that I hadn't read from before. T. Kingfisher, Sophia Stats, and Melissa Albert were all 3 that I'd never read from before. Kendari Blake was the only one that I have read from, because this book is actually a sequel to one that I read a couple months ago. But I honestly, out of these, I will read from T. Kingfisher again. Kendari Blake still will read from her again. I will read from Melissa Albert again, just because I think she's the one that wrote the cool.
Yeah. So we googled it. It is not. Hazelwood.
Hazelwood.
I think I put that one on my TBR too,
It's a
actually.
very pretty cover.
Because it is a very pretty cover, and it sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds very different than this. So
that's kind of like a fairy tale.
So I might like it. Okay.
But
yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So I will read from Melissa Albert again, just because I want to read Hazelwood. I would read from Sophia again, but this one, she's not a normal author. This was a nonfiction book, so I don't expect to see any more from her. But if it comes out something else, I probably will. Yeah.
There you go. So of my 6, 5 were new. Also no repeats. They were all 6 different. And T. Kingfisher was a repeat for me. Because I read it a couple months ago. And we read to Defensive Thinking, which is a high fantasy, I would call it middle grade book. And this is flat out horror. So she's a very eclectic author. I'm definitely reading T. Kingfisher. Again, I have one more book on my lineup to read, and honestly, after that, if it's another 5-star, she's an auto-buy, no matter what she puts out. So yeah, definitely will. I think probably 4 of them, like Richard Swan, I've already ordered the sequel to Justice of Kings. TJ Klune, I already have another one on my shelf from them, and Sangu Mandana, The Very Secret Society. I would read from them again as well. Gail Honeyman, maybe. It's a maybe. That's not the type of book that I normally enjoy. So I can't say that I will read again because it's just not my thing. I loved the book. It was a 5-star read, so she's obviously a good author, but it's just not something I would regularly pick up. So, iffy. Melissa Albert is, I had written down probably not, because I was not impressed with this book at all, but then in looking just a minute ago, I realized I do have another one on my TBR. It'll probably now be very low on my TBR, so I don't know. We'll see. But 4 out of the 6, definitely for sure.
Putting out the stats with genres, so I had
one of each.
One of each, yeah. Just a lot of random things. So we had a YA horror, which was Girls' Nightmares, and then a horror book, adult horror, with What Was the Dead. We had a nonfiction, Girl Boss, and then I believe they classified this as rise fantasy.
Ooh.
At least according to Google. I don't know, I would just call it.
I would call it a thriller myself.
A YA thriller. Definitely YA.
Definitely YA.
YA for sure. So
yeah.
That was my genre breakdown.
Okay, well, I did classify it as a thriller. I didn't break down YA, but I had 2 horror/thrillers. I classified this one as litfic, literary fiction, maybe contemporary, but I would call it literary myself.
I think people say it was a psychological fiction.
That's pretty much where they get these things.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen that on a bookshelf in a bookstore?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's what I called that one. And then my last 3 as fantasy.
No surprise that was a leading genre for you.
No surprise. No surprise there at all. No. Okay.
Alright, so let's get into talking about these books a little bit more. So Our Crooked Hearts and What Moves the Dead, I'm not going to talk about because we have a whole video all about these 2 books. addition to the book Anna Dressed in Blood. I read Anna Dressed in Blood off of Kelly's recommendation. All I needed to know was that Cass was like a teenage Jane Winchester, and I was sold. I really enjoyed Anna Dressed in Blood, and I talked about that book in one of the other wrap-up videos. So of course I wanted to continue on the sequel. Girl of Nightmares is continuing on with the story of Cass and his hunt to try and bring back Anna, the spirit of this girl that he actually fell in love with. He fell in love with the ghost girl, and when he was trying to save her and also escape from the clutches of this other evil that was going after him, she ended up taking that evil spirit with her into hell, which is where she's trapped, and that's where the story kicks off. And it's Cass the whole time trying to figure out how he can free Anna from the depths of hell, because he's like, she doesn't belong there. I need her back. I miss her. I love her. I need this girl. And so it just kind of follows all of his all the different ways that he tries to go about bringing her back. He enlists the help of the secret society, and it's like they don't really want to help him at all, but they kind of do in the hopes that maybe he'll die, and then they can like have a pure bloodline, because like he's a hunter is what he is. Like he goes out and he hunts spirits and tries to like send them on to the other place, but he is a little bit different than the others that are involved in the secret society, because for them, all spirits need to be taken out, all ghosts, whether they are there to harm or to help or like just there, all of them need to go. Cass is only going after the ones that are causing people harm. Right. So the secret society doesn't like the way that he does that. He thinks like they think that's against their rules, and so they really kind of just want to get rid of him. Yeah. So, but it's a really enjoyable book. Like, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but I still did enjoy reading it. There's a few new characters that are introduced in this book that were really funny, and I loved, what's her name, Josephine, maybe? She was great, and, yeah, it was just a wild ride, for sure, which I didn't expect anything different, because Anna Dressed in Blood was a wild ride, too, so, yeah. Definitely a book that I would recommend reading. And then we have #Girl Boss by Sophia Stats. So this is actually a Netflix TV show now, same title, Girl Boss, and it's a nonfiction about the creator of the brand Nasty Gal, which is a clothing brand. It's a clothing brand, but I fell in love with the show Girl Boss. I found it on Netflix because it talks about how this girl started out selling on eBay, and she grew her eBay store into this now multi-million-dollar Nasty Gal company that she runs. And so I, being an eBay store owner myself and selling on there, like it was definitely like it is inspiring to me to like try to watch a show like that, and then now to like read the book and just see how all that hard work and dedication actually turned into something like that. Like I don't know, like it's a really great story, and also just to see like where she came from, because she's not a very likable person, at least at the beginning. When she started her eBay store and everything, she's definitely a person that I would have not wanted as a friend. Probably would have avoided, just would have thought that she was just mean and just trashy. Quite frankly, like she's out here, her thing is she stole a bunch of stuff from stores. She was out dumpster diving all the time for food. Like she was just dirty. Like she didn't have any money really, so like the main way that she got food was she went dumpster diving, or she would like steal things. That was kind of the thing. And she couldn't hold down a job because working for someone else wasn't working for her. So she was only like at a job at a place for like, a couple weeks, few days, and then she would ditch out. The only reason she stayed at one job, checking IDs in a like college art center or whatever, was because she needed the health insurance to get her hernia fixed.
Oh.
Yeah, she got a hernia, so she ended up getting a job with Mothers, and yeah, she stayed there for the exact 90 days that she needed in order to get the health insurance, and then she bounced.
And then was done.
And she bounced. Yeah, she got surgery and she was out. So
there you go.
yeah, but then yeah, she just started. She's like really big into vintage fashion. That was her thing. She knew a lot about vintage clothing, and so she decided like, oh well, you know, I could sell this stuff. Like she lived in San Francisco, so there's like a wide there's a lot of different vintage stores and thrift stores and stuff for her to like go visit and stuff like that and find some good pieces. And so that's what she did. She started like selling them online. Some of them she would like sew and fix like call them like yeah, we work them and resell them herself and all that, and it was just like I don't know, she did it. And it was crazy to see like where she came from and how she started and then to like where she's at now. So yeah, it's very interesting. And entertaining, like she still is like doesn't hold anything back. Like she's just gonna tell you how it is. So yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot.
Alright. So like Amy, I'm not gonna talk about what meets the dead in our Crooked Hearts because again, you can go find that video. I am also not going to talk about Eleanor Oliphant because we had a whole book club video on that last week. You can go see it back there. Okay, so that leaves me with 3 to tell you about. Like I said, I was doing this research project, I guess, into what cozy fantasy is. So I had Googled, found a list of it, picked a few, started to read them. So the Very Irregular Society of, no, the Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana is about a witch named Mika Moon, which is probably my favorite character name ever. Mika belongs to, again, the Society of Witches that is in England, and there are rules to this society, mainly being that witches cannot congregate, they cannot live together, because wherever witches are at, magic is attracted to that place, and so if you have witches together, it attracts more magic, and therefore can lead to witches being discovered. But Mika wants connection with people, so she creates a YouTube channel where she pretends to be a witch. And so through that, she gets a message that from these people inviting her to come and be a teacher to 3 young witches who their magic is out of control and they need a teacher. And so that kicks off this story about how Mika goes and meets this group of misfits, of course, in this house where they're caretakers to these 3 young girls who are witches, and Mika is having to teach them their magic. So very much, it is very cozy, it is charming, it's very sweet. There's elements of found family in this. So, you know, and Mika's always been very much alone. She was raised by a caretaker as well, but a caretaker who believed in the rules. So she was always, basically the only contact she had with anybody was this like stream of nannies and governesses and things like that. But once they figured out something was odd about Mika, then her guardian would get rid of him. So that Mika never had any long-term connection with anyone. So anyway, even though she knows she's breaking really big rules here, she didn't care because she wants these 3 girls to grow up together. They're not biological sisters, but they're very much sisters. And she's not gonna, you know, she doesn't want them to grow up like she did. And basically, if the other witches found out, they'd come in and they'd separate the girls because witches can't be together. So anyway, yeah, there's found family. There's a housekeeper, there's a gardener, there's, I don't know what the other guy is, like a butler, I guess. And of course, there is an element of romance because there is a grumpy, sexy librarian named Jody. So, yes. But the romance is very much not the main theme. It is there. But anyway, it's how they work through this, and there is a deadline because their guardian, who is a witch, is absent. Um, but her lawyer is coming to visit, and if the girls can't be normal, then he's gonna find out, and the whole thing's gonna like blow up. It is somewhat one of those things you can't look too hard at. Some of the things that I thought were plot holes in the beginning do get wrapped up in the end. Some don't. But on the whole, it's a really good cohesive read, and it is very sweet. And that was probably kind of one thing is that there's like a line where it can be sweet to a point, and then it becomes so sweet that it like, makes you feel it. Wholesome is great. This one just towed over that sweet line for me. So there was that. And it was very much a book on like being nice to people, being kind, treating people well. And yet there was one character, I'm not going to spoil it, so I'm not going to get into it a whole lot, but there was one character named Lillian that I did not appreciate how the book treated her. It seemed very odd to me, the way the rest of the book was set up, how Lily's story was treated. But anyway, if you've read it, you know. I'm not going to spoil it, but just knowing, and it didn't spoil the book for me at all, but it did contribute to it. No, okay, I went on longer than I meant to. Next was The House in the Cerulean Sea. Oh my gosh. Once again, very cozy, very charming, very heartwarming. The found family in this. Oh. So this is set in, I think it's supposed to be a fantasy world that's very close to ours. And the main character, who is Linus, he is a social worker. And it is his job to go into these care homes for magical children. And he makes sure that everything is running right, the children are being taken care of, and that, their needs are being met, their magic is under control, they're being taught, blah, 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 all that stuff. That's his job. But he kind of goes about it automatically. Like, he's very by the book. He's very strict. Emotion does not play into this. He does his job. It's an important job, even though it's like low rung. But he has no desire to climb the ladder at all. He doesn't want to be a supervisor. He doesn't want to be a higher up or anything like that. But yet you can just tell that it's like, I won't say it's soul crushing, but he just doesn't put any emotion. He has no passion for this work, even though he thinks it's very important. So anyway, one day he is summoned by the extremely upper management. And he is sent out to this house. I can't remember what it was called. There's a name for this house, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, he is sent there because there are 6 children living there that are considered, their magic is considered so dangerous that they have to live in this isolated, away from society island with Arthur, who is their caretaker in this children's home. So Linus goes out to do kind of his usual investigation, what have you. I think his stay was supposed to be there for a month, where he lives on the island in a guest house. And so this is basically the story of, how this investigation goes. There are some very funny parts to it, like, when he first meets the children, one of whom is described as the Antichrist. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like there's a gnome, there's a werewolf, the Antichrist. It was fun. But just different things, surrounding him. And his first experiences with each of the children was really funny. Because Linus is very kind of an uptight, wears a suit and tie, kind of guy. And here's these like kids. Anyway, and Linus has a cat. Linus has a cat that basically is like a demon cat when he lives in the city, and won't just ignores him, basically nothing to me. And then they get to this island, and the cat starts loving on people and meowing, and it's funny. And when he in the city, he has this name. It's funny too. There's some funny stuff in this book. There's other stuff that is really juvenile, like how Linus's supervisor treats him, is really juvenile. Um, and then there's just a couple things that really clash with, again, the main theme of this book is acceptance and treating people kindly. And yet there's a couple of scenes in there where, like, well, at this one point, this one of the children is treated poorly, and the child reacts with their power in, like, in a sort of violent way, and it is described as being, well, it's good to defend yourself. So it kind of didn't flow with the theme of the book. So there was a couple of moments like that, but and really it was still a 5-star read for me. It did not. It went right up to that sweet line, but it didn't cross it for me. I thought it was really good, and there was a couple of things. There's a backstory about Arthur that's exceptional. So it's so good. And there's another caretaker on the island that I love her, and the things that they do. Another thing, I couldn't quite categorize this. Like I said, sometimes they're really juvenile that made me think they're an adult, but some of the themes and other things are very adult. So there, it was a little confusing, but it's just a good story. So if you can let go of those kind of classifications, I mean, it's just an amazing song. Yeah, I can see why. I can see why. It was another one of, I think I said before, like with Eleanor Oliphant in our book club video. It was a 5-star read, but it's not one I would gush over. And so this one also the same. It is objectively very well written, and for the most part, the flow of it, there's no points where you feel like it's dragging or where it's going too fast or things don't make sense. It's just extremely well written. And because of that, and because it, I just enjoyed the story, it got far, but it's not one I would gush on. But still very good. And my last one, we have Two Boy, Justice of Kings by Richard Swan. It is a high fantasy, adventure, epic, murder mystery, political fantasy. And it is all of those things. All the time. All the time. So the narrator is Helena, and Helena at the time of the events in the book is 19 years old. But it is actually Helena as an old woman who's narrating her story as a younger woman. And that really does save the viewpoint because Helena at 19 is a bit of a twit. So, and she would, I think, become very annoying if you didn't have the older Helena coming in saying, I was really dumb. That kind of thing. At times, I mean, otherwise, I'm not even mind the character that much. But Helena is basically an apprentice assistant to a king's justice called Sir Conrad von Wald. And in this world, the emperor, his justices are like circuit riders. Or better than they're like circuit riders. They go out and they dispense justice. I mean, they're there as representatives of the law. They are to apply the law to any criminal matter, whether it be theft or murder, whatever it is. So they're on their circuit, and Helena is supposed to be learning all of this stuff. And also with them is a kind of a bodyguard named Bellinger. And so they're traveling around, and they come to this town, and they're actually met outside of the town. And one of the ladies, the highborn ladies of this town, has been murdered. And so they start off this investigation into her murder. But there's also, like I said, political intrigue because there's a lot of hints that the empire as it stands is ready to fall. There's going to be a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of clashing there's some religion coming in. The justices themselves also have powers, special powers. And there's some give and take with the religious aspect because supposedly these were originally powers of the church that were given to this branch of the government that upholds the laws in order to like Bumble has the emperor's voice. Like when he uses this voice, people are like have to tell him the truth. It's a commanding sort of way. But there's also other sorts of powers. There's another justice that's introduced that can talk to animals, and another one of Von Valt's powers is necromancy. He can make corpses speak after they die, in a way of investigation, like to see if they know their killer, that kind of thing. So anyway, as they go through, all of this stuff is kind of coming to a head while they're trying to solve this murder. So you've got, like I said, you've got political stuff, you've got religious stuff, you've got murder mystery going on. So it's really good. And at the point where there is a sequel, but it does come to a full, complete story. So you could very easily read this as a standalone. And it's so easy to read. I mean, this was well over 400 pages, and I think I read it in 3 days. It's really easy to read. It's not a huge, complicated, like having to pick out all the strings of this political faction and that religious house or whatever. It's really easy to read. So I liked it very much. It was really well done. The pacing sometimes was a little rough, but overall it did not ruin anything for me. So I liked it a lot. So there we go. That's the end. I went on way longer than I intended to.
Okay, so that's going to do it for our April reading wrap up. We hope that you guys enjoyed listening to all of our stats and our thoughts on the books we read in April. And yeah, maybe you found a book or two that you want to read as well.
And how did you do in April? Let us know. What'd you read?
Exactly, yeah. Down in the comments, let us know. We'd love to chat with you. And also, if you did enjoy watching the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go on and hit that little subscribe button down below the video. Join the Everyday Adventure family. We'd love to have you. And we have both videos every Sunday.
We do.
You don't want to miss us.
We do. And be sure and check out Amy's channel because she doesn't have just book content, even though this is plenty. But there is plenty more. Yeah. There is shopping hauls. There is travel videos. There is home decor. Right now she has a whole video series on deep cleaning your house, the latest of which was the garage, which is very interesting. She builds stuff. Very handy girl. And of course, we're both on Instagram as well. Gonna
do it. So, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are
the Everyday Epic.
See you on the next one.
Bye.